I just would like to say two sentences. Everything is relative in Earth. So the future and the problems of 2020 are different from those of 2050. And the solution should be different, and it's up to us how far do we look forward. And we can make as many mistakes as we want, but we have to pay the price.
Thank you. Now, this one.
I think we have no possibility to choose about the question of the changing the lifestyle, because we, as I said, we overuse the resources. We need regulations which lead less energy use, and we need, less material use. And the question of the land use, we have to control how we use the land, and only the local community can control how we use the land. And we have to give the local community the possibilities to use the land as a natural resource and keep it for the future.
Thank you. As we are moving somehow closer to the end of the session, it's now time for the real important statements, the brief ones, the take-home messages. And Lawrence, you have the first try, and we'll see how far we get.
It's on. Okay, yeah, thank you. Brief. I'm confused of some of the things, because I think everyone's seen the dramatic situation we're actually facing, but some of the responses disconnect. They're not in the same proportion with the problems that we're facing. The Hungarian minister yesterday talked about these real problems, but then went on to talk about agricultural policy. That, for me, is pretty much business as usual, with a few little bits of greening and modification. As far as we're concerned, we all want organic agriculture, we want a different rural economy, actually also we want a different urban and suburban economy. But that's not going to come, I'm afraid, through the public purse, because we're facing, with these resource questions, major economic collapse, or volatility at best. So where is this money going to come from to support the kind of agriculture that we're talking? We have to really think in different ways. I started in this business in organic farming in 1976. And in that time, we have to face up to actually what's happened. First of all, looking back, conventional agriculture has got better. There is less pesticide use. They control it better. The whole thing about IPM is, they would say, an advance. We've also spent fortunes. We've had biodiversity action plans, we've had environmental action plans. All countries have had large amounts of money going into environmental protection. The EU had lots of money going into our environmental protection. We've had money going into regional development, to rural development. All of these, in the time since I started, we've spent as a society lots of money. So what's happened? Because we still have significant biodiversity loss. We have loss of farmers. We still have major problems in terms of health, in terms of food quality. We still have decline in soil quality. We have water problems. We are in a worse state than we were in 1976, despite the fact that our agricultural and food policy, environmental policy, has spent massive amounts of money. And as far as I can see, from the Commissioner and the politicians yesterday, we're going to have a reformed CAP that basically does the same kind of thing. So what's the disconnect? And for me, okay, I passionately believe that the organic way forward, the organic principles, is a manifesto for the future. This is how agriculture, this is how our food system should follow. And look at page 8 in the brochure that accompanied the conference. But what's the disconnect? And for me, the disconnect is that nobody is owning up to two fundamental factors. One, lifestyle changes is critical. We cannot continue on a planet of finite and diminishing resources with the current lifestyle choices. And secondly, we have to face up to the great myth, the great contract, the great dilemma, the great flaw that is at the heart of European agricultural policy. That is we somehow can have sustainability and liberal free trade or competition, global competition. Sustainability and global competition does not equate. It's a dilemma that we cannot deal with. We have to face up to that and promote and talk about a different kind of agriculture that recognizes that factor.
Okay, thank you. That was very good from what I demanded before. I really have to apologize to all those who still have some hands up. We have about 55 seconds left to the sessions, and I'm going to take those up for myself. So there is one conclusion I would like to, or a couple of conclusions I would like to make from my perspective. For me, it is very important to, as has been stated here a number of times, that organic farming is something that is modern. It's taking some old technologies which have been used, but it has developed them quite a bit, and it's making selective use of modern technologies. As we are using, like, this whole conference would not work without the translation services, which are actually pretty high-tech what we are using here. However, we need the translators, so I would like to ask you to thank the translators who have been very patient. And I think that this idea of using selectively that technology that leads us into the future is a good one, and that is about research, not using everything that's there, but critically assessing what is there and making use of it. And the other thing is, I think we also need both. We need to have this far look into the future, as we've tried to do partly in the session, to look at the big challenges, at climate change, at things which are the food crisis, things which certainly even our children will have to deal with. That is quite certain. But on the other hand, I think it's also very reasonable to do the day-by-day things and to talk to politicians and to convince them of small next steps in favor of organic farming. So I wouldn't see that as a contradiction, but both things are somehow necessary and have been attempted at this conference. And I think that is, in my view, what makes the whole thing a success. Also, what has made it a success is the splendid surroundings, and so I would like also to thank, and I think that is not just on my personal view, but of all the participants, the hosts of this conference, the organizers, for bringing us here. That was really a pleasure being in this really very inspiring environment. And I would also like to thank everybody on the panel here. Well, the main keynote speaker has already vanished, but and all of you who have contributed to the discussion, and apologies again for those who I could not consider taking their words here. And with this, I would like to thank you, I would like to hand over to the organizers again. Christopher is already standing up, but I think it's Josef Angren who is the first one who takes now over. Thank you.